Hello, once again, I'm Kevin Turner from Real Estate Talk, and welcome to this special podcast. Well, catching the waves in the property market would have to be the key goal for every investor, certainly every investor I talk to. The recent wave in the Sydney market is one that no doubt every investor wished they could have actually heard about or been on well before it took place. But you know, Sydney is not the only place in Australia where gains are happening. Take the Gold Coast as an example. In the latest Australian Property Investor magazine, Tony Coughran from Gold Coast Property Advisors points out the areas on the Gold Coast that he thinks will boom next. G'day, Tony. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having us.
What are the areas that you're watching on the Gold Coast, Tony?
Well, the Gold Coast is predominantly a lifestyle market. So in this instance, we're talking about lifestyle suburbs, such as your Burleigh Heads, your Nobbies, located in Mermaid Beach, the Broadwater suburb of Paradise Point, and Churn Park, Labrador are certainly areas to watch.
You said Churn Park. Is that a relatively new suburb, Tony?
Yeah, Churn Park is actually a little village that is formed on the cusp of Labrador and Southport. It's an upcoming area. It's like Paradise Point would have been 10 years ago.
What is it that made you choose those areas, Tony?
Well, Kevin, if you take a lifestyle market and you couple it with the strengthening local economy, and you get more and more interstate investors that want their own piece of paradise, so we're better to live or actually invest than a coastal suburb with those trendy community atmospheres. These suburbs, in particular, are seeing a huge shift in demographic. Once they were tightly held with baby boomers raising their families and staying on to enjoy their retirement, now they're moving on to their next stage of lives, and the new generations are coming through with great opportunity. A lot of these homes, Kevin, were built in the 60s and 70s, so we're seeing a huge amount of construction works happening in these areas. Whether it be the complete knockdown, full renovation, or just making that beach shack more comfortable on a budget. Look, there's so much potential, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? You hear of properties that are being purchased, then knocked down, which effectively means they're paying that price purely for the land. That's got to drive property prices up, Tony, doesn't it?
Absolutely. There's a couple of drivers. The big driver is the lifestyle. People want to live near the water. They want the lifestyle that the Gold Coast has to offer, and they want it at their fingertips. If you're an investor, you only have to look at the numbers. The rental demand in these areas are very strong. The vacancy rates are low, and tenants, just like the owner-occupiers, are chasing that dream location. And look, they're prepared to pay that premium to get it. The other driver, Kevin, would be the culture. Each of these locations mentioned have their own unique village atmosphere. So the coast is no longer the fish and chip corner store experience. Those restaurateurs are up in their game, and these little hubs are absolutely flourishing. So when the buyers are considering where they want to live, the vibe of the neighbourhood, and what's on offer, all of these factors are definitely considered.
Just looking at those suburbs again, quickly running through them, you said Burleigh Heads, Nobby and Mermaid Beach, Paradise Point, Churn Park and Labrador. Do you see the gains in those areas being fairly uniform, or are they going to vary a bit?
They will vary a little. Let's take a look back before we look into the future with these suburbs. Up to the late 2012, the market had lost a lot of traction. Now the market at the Gold Coast is gaining momentum and is performing very well. Now, I don't like to talk about broad statistics. I don't think they give an accurate reflection of what's happening right here, right now. But if you take Burleigh, for example, on average, we've seen almost 15% growth in median prices as opposed to 5% across the coast, which isn't bad, it's positive, but not out of control. So in answer to your question, look, the power is in the buying. So in these suburbs over the next 12 to 24 months, if you're really informed and you buy well, you could also achieve those 10 to 15% capital growth figures, no problem.
Tony, let's pull back a bit and have a look at the whole Gold Coast. How's it faring overall?
Yeah, well, due to the increased demand at the Gold Coast, stock has really been tightening up, Kevin. There's a lot of frustrated buyers out there lining up to secure properties as they hit the market. anything that's well priced and worth looking at isn't going to last long on the market. So we're big advocates for houses and duplexes without the body corporate fees. They're really the best capital growth generators. Look, we do hope to see a shift in early 2016 with regards to more vendors taking their properties to the market, which will help that supply and demand situation we have. Now, look, as I mentioned earlier, we are seeing an influx of the southern investors, and look, they're finding great value here in our market. So, for example, you could buy a waterfront property close to the beach for $850 if you look around. When you consider, what the interstate investors are getting at home for this kind of investment, there's no wonder why they're coming to the coast. Look, not offering just good value for money, but if you're buying well, you're getting great long-term capital growth. That is assured at the Gold Coast. Look, some of our clients, they just can't believe that they can buy 2 homes for $500,000 each and still get a pocket full of change when they're selling their Sydney Western suburb home, and they don't have these lifestyle attractions. So if we're generally talking in terms of affordability, Kevin, you can actually buy houses on the western side of the M1 in the late 300s. Now that is within 25 minutes drive to the beach. Now look, that is more than affordable, and the GC, as I call it, or the Gold Coast, is faring very well, and there's still plenty of upside left.
Yeah, because you're heading into your busy time now, aren't you, over Christmas, New Year period, when you really do need the stock, because that's when you get the major influx of buyers. Let's look a little further ahead. Are you seeing any influence on the market from the forthcoming Commonwealth Games? Are people talking about that?
Absolutely, definitely. We're seeing really big dollars being spent on the coast. The city infrastructure, new sporting facilities, the upgrades to major retail centres. High-rises are popping up all over town. The new light rail is in operation, and we've been given the green light for the further extension to the heavy rail, which is fantastic. The economy is alive and well. There's more jobs, there's more people coming to the coast, creating greater demand in our market. So we're lucky we've got Mayor Tom Tate, who's very proactive. He's a pro-development approach style mayor, and he's really accelerating the city's growth, which is reassuring. And look, pockets around the new infrastructure are already seeing benefits of, with regards to capital growth. And look, as the Gold Coast rapidly matures, the investors are now riding the long-awaited wave of capital growth right here at the coast.
Tony Coughran has been my guest from Gold Coast Property Advisors. Tony, thank you so much for your time. Go and enjoy the surf, mate.
Thank you kindly. It's been an absolute pleasure.